And good morning, everyone. It is Saturday. It's August 19th, 2023, 7 minutes after the hour, 56 degrees outside our lavishly appointed studios in downtown Bozeman. Happy to have you along with us. Looking for a high of 79 degrees today. 60s tomorrow for the high and rain, but, well, how's your weather, Shane? Cooling off a little up there?
No, not at all. We're still up 90 to 100 degrees
Oh, yeah?
and drier than spit.
Wow. All right.
And they called off the closing of the trails and parks.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, it's very dry.
Yeah. Well, it's Tom and Shane on Saturday, of course, making radio great again. Mental floss for your brain. Get all that nasty stuff out of your brain and think
Yeah.
logically and normally. Only reason to have Saturday, Tom and Shane living like it's still a free country. We are this close to actual entertainment, Shane, and it's National Aviation Day. It's a World Humanitarian Day. It's World Photography Day. And it's International Geocaching Day. I guess that's where you pick up the rocks and cut them open and look for the fancy stuff inside, I guess, huh? And it's National Potato Day as well. As luck would have it, Manhattan is having their Potato Festival, Potato Fest over in Manhattan today. So we hope.
Is it time to harvest potatoes?
I don't know I don't know nothing about no potatoes. So,
Nothing?
nothing. I don't know nothing, honey.
Nothing,
So
honey. Okay.
nothing, honey. So yeah. So I don't know. Well, it's National Potato Day. There must be a good reason for it. So maybe it is harvesting time. I don't know.
Yeah.
You potato aficionados out there, give us a call. 406-522-TALK. 406-522-8255. You can also text us at our text line, 406-478-8298.
138 varieties of potatoes. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different types of potatoes.
Yeah. I like mashed and twice baked and fries. Those are my three taters.
There you go. That's what everyone loves.
Yeah.
Well, hash browns.
Well, hash browns are yeah, that's pretty good too. Yeah, yeah. Sweet potato fries, I can take them or leave them. But,
Yeah, I like those McDonald's hash brown. I get a McDonald's sandwich, breakfast sandwich, and I put the hash browns right inside of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Eat it all together. It's really quite good.
Yeah, I like those hash browns. So, yeah, it's pretty good. 127 shopping days till Christmas if you're planning your list. Time to get it going.
If you're so inclined.
That's it.
My shopping's all done.
Yeah.
I just have some clothes to buy for my granddaughters because they're growing. Boy, it is amazing. But this is a great year. They go back to school on, I think, the 3rd or 4th of September. And Isabel, it's her first day in first grade. So I'm going to walk her to school this year.
Yeah.
Sure. Aria will be in 3rd grade. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that works pretty well. So,
and they're both over 4 feet tall.
All right. Well, phones are ringing already, Shane. So let's see if we can get somebody on the line. See if the phones are working this morning. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with the amazing Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, good morning, Spuds.
Hey, morning.
Well, I don't know much about potatoes either, but I do know about humanitarian efforts, and since this is a humanitarian day, we're seeing very little of it in Maui, and our government is just apathetic, and I just can't get over how Biden has shunned the Maui situation. But I'm going to tell you something. In 2018, Maui was kind of targeted by the World Economic Forum at their annual Davos, Switzerland meeting, and I believe that the globalists were behind a lot of what happened on the island of Maui, and I think that local governments, too, are at fault, and I am just totally appalled. I can't get over the apathy shown to the survivors of this fire. It's just horrendous. And Biden is giving them $700 apiece, and is giving the Ukrainians $2,500 apiece in aid. It just is mind-boggling. It just goes beyond all my human understanding. And I have something for Shane today as well about immigration. Americans are getting nervous about Canada. We see it as a totalitarian society now, government. And you not only have to have government approval before news items go on your media, but I found this interesting. November 1st, 2022, a report out of Ottawa on immigration. Trudeau has a plan for 23 to 2025. And he wants to welcome 465 new permanent residents in 2023, 485,000 in 2024, and 500,000 in 2025. And, a lot of these are going to try and get into the United States from the north. Shane, can you explain to us a little bit what is going on there in Canada? Because, even this Viva Free site that I follow on Rumble, that seems to be the last line of freedom of speech from Canada. I don't know here. It bugs me here. What's going on?
Well, first of all, we have a treaty with the United States. It's the third country treaty. So anyone that comes into Canada cannot go into the United States under that treaty. They'll be returned by either to their homeland or back to Canada. With regards to the issue that everyone talks about a lot now in Canada when you talk about free speech, is no question that the government is trying to create a woke awareness of gender identity and diversity, and they're forcing it on the public with trying to regulate speech. But we have a Supreme Court, and we have a legal system similar to yours based on English law, and so people are suing the government with regards to these, and it's going through our legal system, and the middle tier of our legal system is not as woke or liberal as yours. Actually, it's more conservative. So they're siding with the people that are taking these moves against free speech and moving it up to the Supreme Court, where most of them will fail. America has always had a wrong view or understanding of Canada. Yes, we have a socialist party, the NDP, and yes, right now the government is a minority government formed with the support of the NDP to stay in power, but they have to have an election within the next year, and I think that the Conservatives have a good leader, and we could probably expect a conservative government. In the last election, the Conservative Party won more or got more votes than the Liberals. So we'll see how that rings out. I wouldn't worry too much about a lot of what you're saying, because it has no direct impact. As in the case of your legal system, if something's challenged, it can't be initiated until it's gone through the legal system, so it doesn't change anything.
Okay, one last word about Maui. We're seeing the globalists and their land grab attempts. I just can't get over the apathetic attitude here. We're seeing people suffering, and they're getting bodies out of the rubble, and the wildlife and the pets, dogs and cats, are suffering as well. And they're lacking food and water supplies, and people are wanting to buy their lands to make solar systems and windmill farms and everything else. And so any of you liberals that are listening to Tom and Shane this morning, take a good look at what's happening in Maui right now. This is a good example how big government lets people down. And that's all I have to say today. And have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, about Maui, I think, Tom, it's important to observe that this is going to end up similar to what happened to the state-run power or electrical business in California. Several years ago, if you remember those really bad fires in the northern part of California, it was determined, and that it was set by fallen, wires in a storm, and that's what ignited the fires. And so people sued, and basically won the case. That's what you'll see here is it's very bad government management of a very small island. It's not very big, and they just didn't clean up or make an effort of any kind to clean up the underbrush of dead plants, life, and so forth. So there is video now of an electric line from the Hawaiian Electrical Company. There's one of 3 on the island. And so people have already started a class action lawsuit against them for it. We'll see how it ends up, but I think it'll move quickly. I think the difficult thing is that you have a administration that's within its bounds to react to this instantly with support in so many different ways with all the agencies your government has. We've talked about it from FICA to just the military, and there's a huge military in Hawaii, particularly the naval base on the Big Island. So, but for your president to wait almost a week to say something was, I thought, really sad.
Yeah, that's a little much. Well, if you remember, it took 5 days to get water to the Superdome. So let's take another phone call.
Well, he didn't drop a ball; he dropped a boulder. That's just.
Amen. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Well, what's going on is this is great non-commercial radio.
Amen.
It's a great one. Look at that.
Just grateful to be alive, gentlemen.
Amen.
To piggyback on something Nancy brought up, not only is there these real estate people coming in there and trying to buy the property, but I believe it was a Hawaii government official, and I can't remember which one it was, and I believe it was on Glenn Beck's program a couple of nights ago, which, by the way, gentlemen, I wish you would put him live instead of Sean Hannity and make Sean Hannity a tape, a replay.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you, that man is a broken record, I'll tell you.
Yeah, he really is. But did you see Apple removed Glenn Beck's show?
Yeah.
Anyway, this government official said that they want to make the devastated area a memorial. In other words, no rebuilding, just make it a memorial dedicated to those folks who lost their property and their lives. So there is 2 sides to this. So in my opinion, how are you going to displace all those people who lost their businesses and lost their property and just have the government of Hawaii take over that land? What's going to happen to those people if they do this memorial thing? There are 2 sides to this. Mm-hmm. And Beck pointed out the fact that, well, if these real estate people buy this property, at least they'll have the ability to rebuild. But I'm against either or. I think the property should stay with the folks who own it to begin with. But you never know. I just don't know.
Well, the other thing, too, Jerry, is the tremendous cost. I wrote an article on this the other day for one of the publications I write for, that, it's $800 to $1 million for property there. And a lot of these people, have some insurance. Most of them don't have full coverage, or replacement cost insurance. They've got fire damage and things like that. But a lot of them they're really between a rock and a hard place because they aren't going to be able to afford rebuilding unless the government steps up and really pounds some dough in to supplement some of the house building. And who qualifies for that? And some of these people, their job is gone as well as their home. So and their income is cut off. So they're really in trouble there.
I don't think the amount of money the government is applying to this problem is going to solve the problem either. You're right about that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make one more mention, and I'm sure you heard about it in the news, is how this Georgia indictment appeared online before the grand jury even voted,
Yeah.
and the DA doesn't know how this happened. So they released the indictment on the evening after it appeared online.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, really, isn't that against the law? You're not allowed to release grand jury testimony. It's kind of leaking it to the press like that.
Well, it wouldn't be valid if it hasn't been voted on yet. So there's still that issue you got to talk about. So yeah, the devil went down to Georgia for sure.
You're right, Jerry.
Yeah.
It's a federal crime, and even if it's a state exposure, it's a federal crime, and 20 years in jail.
Fix your screen, Shane.
I'm
what's the matter with his
sideways.
Oh, well then I'll just turn my head to the left here, Shane.
That's
now
it,
you look
right.
good.
Yeah.
You look
there
fine
you go.
now.
Exactly. Thank you.
You know, Mark Levin. Lastly, Mark Levin brought up a great subject last night, and it was the death of William F. Buckley's brother. I believe his name was Christopher Buckley.
100 years old.
And and this gentleman, a conservative, ran against Republicans at the time, but then in another attempt he lost to Chris Dodd when he ran again. But people ought to realize, and anyone listening out there, especially parents, that he proposed and got passed what was called the Buckley Act, which is where parents can make sure their children's education criteria can be reviewed. He also was responsible for the Freedom of Information Act, which passed. So if people out there are worried about or concerned about their children's education, this is a federal law. And I know Montana also has a law that the parents have the right to petition or to ask for the criteria that's being taught in their schools. And the school board must provide that within a very short amount of time. So I applaud folks that are standing up for their children, and it's very important that these elections for school board officials, people have to get on board with that. And since I adopted you, Tom, I don't have children, so I can't do anything about that. Yeah, unless you go back to school, Tom, if you want to start over in the first grade.
By the way, my allowance is late.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my stars. I forgot to mail that, didn't I?
Don't tell me the check's in the mail, Jerry.
No, I don't. I'm cash and carry Jerry, Tom.
Okay.
I don't send checks. Okay. No
All right,
funny
man.
paper for me. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
That was
Have
good.
a great
All right.
weekend.
All right, take it easy.
That was good.
All right, thanks for the call. Well, yeah, Trump indicted in Georgia, the fourth indictment, I guess, Shane, that we got going on. It's hard to keep track of all of them. We'll try to break them down as we go through the morning here.
Oh, if you like, that's fine.
But yeah, faces new charges, fourth indictment. The big thing about this one, Shane, is that they've got till, I forget the date, next week sometime, they got to show up.
The 25th of August.
Yeah, 25th, I guess it is. Yeah.
Next Friday, yeah.
So everybody is giddy to have a mugshot of Trump put on their T-shirts, So, I mean, I can't wait to have that mugshot because I've got a picture of Trump on the screen in here.
Well, as we've talked about before, the Democrats always overshoot. What a surprise from the demolition party. 19 people are indicted. She wants to have them all tried at the same time. So the entire courtroom will be filled with 19 or 20 people, including Trump, under indictment, and 2 to 3 or 5 lawyers each. I mean, I've been in my life, I've spent a lot of time going to court cases to just understand how the procedure works. One of the longest was back in the 80s, and it was a provincial lawsuit against the lumber industry. So it was 20 companies, and it was unbelievable going in there. There was only room for 15 people to sit down, and when I've gone over how much, they're basically open 5 hours a day for work at a court.
Yeah.
And so it took them like almost an entire year just to get through to the evidence before the prosecutor could bring his case.
I was going to say, this thing will be 2027 before it happens. So.
Yeah, this thing is dead. It's dead. It won't even get to court because of that. Yeah.
Well, let's take another phone call before we have to go. 406-522-TALK is the number. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, Tom and Shane. This is Steve.
Hey, Steve.
It seems to me that the world has gone upside down with all the...
What was your first clue?
Well, when Biden, who got 20% of the U.S. vote, is running around pretending to be the president, I don't know who's running the show, but he couldn't pour tea out of a boot if the directions are written on the heel. So there's a whole lot of crap going on in our country, just like this fire. I mean, Klaus Schwab, everybody know who he is, head of the World Economic Forum, said that we got to get rid of the white European race and the white North American race because they don't follow directions very well.
Which, of course, he is one.
And but see, he's one of the elite, the big guys. So he's different than all the rest of us. But that's why our borders are open. They're wanting all these others in here. I don't know how they're going to do all this stuff, but I'm saying people better be paying attention because something's coming.
Amen to that. I got to go, Steve. I'm up against the clock.
All right.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your call. All right. Steve, we got a caller on the line. If you could talk to them while I say a brief words to folks hey, we've still got 2.5 hours to go. Wow. Holy smokes. We'll be back with more Tom and Shane right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's August 19th, 2023. It's Potato Fest going on over in Manhattan today. So if you're out in that area, stop by and take part in the festivities over there. Happy to have you along with us this morning. We have a caller patiently waiting on the line. So, we should take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Yeah, I was real encouraged this week because I listened to Aaron, and he played a clip from one of the liberal news media that flip-flop, flat-top Tester was on there, and he reassured us that Joe Biden's 100%, his mental capacity, physical capacity. So I just felt a lot better for our country that flip-flop, flat-top gave everybody a 100% thumbs up that old Joe's on the top of the game.
That alone ought to make you vote against Tester. He's obviously not on the top of his game if that's what he thinks.
No. Yeah, no, but you know how he is. They had Schweitzer on there this morning or last week here too, or this week, and talking about the lobbyists and the whiskey and the steaks paying these guys off. And I thought, well, gee, Tester's got what, $1.2 million in restaurant bills in Washington D.C. at the high dollar restaurants. So, yeah, tell us, you libs out there, tell us about the whiskey and the steaks.
Right.
We'll go from there. All right, get it ordered.
All right, man. Thanks for the call.
Good.
All right. Yeah, I guess Schweitzer was there to talk about Tester being on top of his game. I don't know, but anyway, that's a I can't say it on radio.
Probably not.
It's a cluster. It's a cluster. That's all I can say. From our text line, or from our app chat line, AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone, Shane, September is harvest time for potatoes. So there you are.
Yes, I think that was rhetorical sort of sarcasm on my part.
Let's see. Biden should go to Maui and throw paper towels at the survivors. Yeah, I should do that. So Sean Hannity's a broken lying record. He's so far up Trump, he can't tell you what he had for dinner. Biden got 81 million votes. Sorry to pour truth on your collar. No problem there. So, let's see. Trump is getting arrested again. Pardon, proof, conviction, mandatory jail time, a sweet smell of accountability. Well, it ain't seen the inside of the courtroom yet. So,
that's true.
And they're already bringing action. The legislature in Georgia is bringing action against the DA, whatever her name is, Ellis, something like that. I don't.
Well,
I don't have it in front of me.
The horrific thing about this Georgia situation is that this has gone on for over 4 years. She started this back in 2018, and so she's been using taxpayers' money. With a team of 8 to 12 people being paid to investigate something that she's relying on some law, once again, like the other prosecutors, isn't even relevant to what they want to accuse him of.
Yeah.
And it's just one of these things that like the sheriff, or the chief of the sheriffs for the courthouses, if they come in, then there will be mugshots. Yeah, the whole thing and everything that they say, everything they talk about, the comments she made about the release, all these things just are also typical of what we've seen, and what's it been like for 9 months they've been indicting him.
Mm-hmm.
So the absurdity, it just becomes an absurdity. I feel sorry for people like Giuliani, because he's going to spend $250,000 to $1 million to defend himself. It's going to take 2 or 3 years for this to move to where it's not relevant, other than waiting for the Supreme Court to look at it, which will be 4 or 5 years, unless they can move it quickly because of what the terms of the accusations are. But enough said. We've said this time and time again.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, he's worried about a leaked indictment, but not the Trump supporters who posted grand jury names and addresses on Truth Social. Well, what about the Democrats that posted Kavanaugh's address?
Right.
And the other Supreme Court justices? I mean,
that's right.
Hey, Kettle, you're black.
Well, actually, mine's stainless steel, but still the same thing.
Whatever.
Because mine is worse, because you look at my kettle and you can see yourself.
Shane lies. She didn't start in 2018. Stop lying.
She said that when she got up and made the announcement last week. She said, we started this investigation in 2018, and it's taken us. I'm really proud of the effort that's been put in by the staff. She's the one who said it. I didn't.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see if we can get another phone call in here by chance. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's happening? Hello.
No one there, Thomas.
Yep. Apparently not. All right, let's try over here.
No one there either.
Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane.
There is someone.
I'm here.
Yeah.
You got on. I heard you clicking as he clicked the phone.
All right. So you were just talking about how Giuliani's going to have to spend all that money to fight and protect himself.
Right.
This is one of the things that we never do anything about. The courts are the cancer in this country that is just killing everything. If you're a citizen and you have to go up against the government, whether it be state or federal, in a courtroom, and they have unlimited finances and you don't, how is that fair? How is that equal? Where is there any opportunity for justice in any of that? all over the country. It's with the January 6th people. It's with the richest and the most famous people in the country. It doesn't matter. It's all about the court system is just, it's the IRS on steroids. They can just bankrupt you. They can destroy you. They can do it to anybody. They did it to that one General Flynn. They've done it to the weirdo that hangs out with Alex Jones, whatever that one guy's loudmouth guy's name is, that they did the raid, that, the news that was at his house when the FBI was there raiding him.
Oh, yeah.
We don't do anything about these problems. We don't. We just deal with it. We watch the other people happen, and it's like watching the giant herds of wildebeest cross the rivers in Africa. They know some of us are going to get killed, but if we just go in the numbers, the rest of us will get by free.
Yeah.
It's just we don't care about one another the way we used to when this country was founded. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't do anything to actually fight the problems. We just deal with it, and then the next day, the next problem gets the news and gets the headline. Like, what are we ever going to do about it? Another example of this that's soon going to come up, and it's going to be in the news again, and we're going to hear about it at the primary election time, is where the Democrats can go in and vote in the Republican primaries. And when the elections are happening, you'll hear all the Republican people whining about how this guy who's running to replace Tester, the Republican guy with the Bridger firefighting companies, Navy SEAL and everything like that. But you're going to have Democrats going in and voting and determining who our candidate is. And we'll complain about it when it happens, but then when it's over, we stop complaining about it and we don't care, and then it comes back and it rapes us again. We get what we deserve because we don't give a crap about anything until it happens to us. And when it happens to us, we don't have anything to defend ourselves from it because nobody cares. It's just, we're done. Just enjoy the flushing. Get what you can out of this country because it's done. We got no chance. Nobody fights. We're done. Have a good day, guys.
All right.
Yeah, we have a leg up on you on this one. In civil cases, part of the case, if a defendant wins, that's being sued by somebody, they can demand that their costs be covered.
Yeah. And by the opposing party. Yeah.
Yeah. And the judge, depending on the type of case and whether it was frivolous or not, can reward the accused that wins more than what his costs were because the person brought this against them. Number two, because of precedent set in a criminal trial, the same now can happen. The judge can force the government to pay costs to someone that's been wrongly charged, and if during the case of a trial that is just seen by the judge, he can throw out the case and allow the person being defended to be paid his legal costs. So yeah, we got one up on you there, buddy.
Okay. From our text line 4788298, read the dang indictment. Nothing in it dates to 2018. Where does Shane pull this out? She didn't say 2018. That makes no sense. The indictment is about January 6th. No, it's not. It's about the Georgia election. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with January 20. It's in Georgia, not Washington, D.C. That's a whole other indictment.
That's right, from 2016. So,
clean your earwax out. As he said to you.
Yes, that's right.
Oh. Well, what can I tell you? Hey, Shane, how can the investigation be in 2018 when the election was held in 2020?
No, I said she started the process because she was like these other ones in New York that said that they ran on a ticket of saying they're going to get Trump, and of course it took until 2020 for her to find something to actually try and catch him with, which was a phone call asking the governor and several state representatives to ask the governor to recount because the number of votes was so slim. I think it was 11 or 12,000. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So, All right. Okay. Let's see. What else we got here? Since you love Trump so much, then you agree with him making fun of a disabled reporter and grabbing a woman. real upstanding men. Well, during the break at the top of the hour, I'll send you the link that debunks the disabled reporter. All right.
Yeah. Well, we've all seen.
I'll send you the video.
Yeah, he was doing an interpretation of the guy in a speech, and he wasn't, trying to spite him because of his handicap. He was doing an interpretation of what the guy had to say about him, and it's not probably.
And he's done the exact same interpretation against others who were not handicapped. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So exactly.
So that's a link I'll send you, so you can do with it what you want.
He's always been consistent. He's not buried.
Let's see. Okay. For the love of God, for the love of God, that is all good and holy, read the indictment. Why? Why do I need to read the indictment? Let's say I read the indictment and I say, man, Trump is guilty. Holy mackerel. Put that orange macaroon in jail. It doesn't mean anything what I say. The only thing that counts is what the judge and the jury say.
Yeah,
so
exactly
I don't need to read the indictment. Who cares? The only people that are going to care is the judge and the jury.
That's right. And as the caller says, earlier, and to further what he was talking about, it's a sad reality that what a party can't win at the ballot box, they use the third leg of your government, the court system, to bankrupt people and falsely charge them and ruin their lives. That happened to a governor of Virginia. He was wrongly accused, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and he won. But it destroyed him. It was during a campaign when he's running for governor again. And, of course, he lost. And then him and his family, he went bankrupt defending himself, and people stepped in and continued paying his costs, and had to go all the way to the Supreme Court. It took 7 years, and on a vote of 9-0, he won.
Yeah.
So this is a real sad time in America, because if the government can throw a stone your way, they can, as I said before, drop a boulder on you.
Yeah. Well, if you don't believe some of this Trump stuff is going to end up the Supreme Court, I have the proverbial bridge to sell you. But
yeah.
Is it just me that sees that every time something comes out against the Biden crime family, there's another indictment thrown Trump's way?
That's exactly 100%. There isn't even the woke media now has looked at this and had to admit that, and on CNN and on MSNBC, they haven't outlined it as clearly as Fox, but Fox has. It's like on this date, this happened with the Biden family or Hunter, and then 2 days later, indictment. Right? Like it's a very sad reality, and one that has to hopefully come to an end. Because I do really think, in a lot of ways, the world is concerned right now for the United States and where this wokeness is taking it.
Well, I think that's true. I don't know, Shane, if you saw the replay of Biden with the Japan and who was the other guy? Korea, yeah. Japan and South Korea. And couldn't remember who they were. And just walked away from the podium without thanking them or anything else. We're done. Right. I'm out of here. Lost his earpiece, so I guess they couldn't tell him what to say. So he just turned around and walked away, left him standing there. So I don't know to say this guy is with it. The Democrats have a real issue here because they cannot run him again. They can't.
They can't, and they have to figure out how to.
Yeah, they got to figure out how to do something. They got to figure out how to get Newsom in there, and they also got to get Kamala out of there. Well, and that's going to be the tough part, is getting her gone.
That's right. They thought this was going to work out really well, that they'd have somebody in the White House they could manage, and they tried to with Obama, and that didn't work out. He wasn't going to have anything to do with it, and so that's why his 8 years didn't go so well, because they continued under his administration, as they did under Clinton, to replace everyone in the government, because what the Democrats have boldly done in 30 years is basically cleaned or gutted every conservative thought from your government, like every department. And they're like 2, 3, 4 layers down, meaning it would cause a morass of being able to operate your government, to get rid of all the woke-minded people, basically, that run your government. So it's not the elected people doing it anymore.
Yeah. Upside down world. The more convictions, the more indictments, the more your supporters love you. Ronald Reagan is rolling in his grave. Nixon would be astonished you could fool so many people and get away with it. Well, my question to you is, what are you missing?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you missing that everybody else sees so clearly?
I mean, Reagan survived because he admitted he was wrong.
Yeah. And
said he wouldn't let it happen again, and everyone backed him. Nixon was wrong and should have fired everybody, and said, yes, this went on. I understood that something like this was happening, and so I cleaned house, and they would have forgiven him, and he would have gone on.
Yeah.
But the bottom line here is that this all came about with Clinton and his issue, and how the Democrats learned that you can lie, because you can control the media, the 24-hour cycle, and you can lie till the very end, and even lie through that, because there's no follow-up, and of course there's, federally nothing happened to Clinton. He did the Law Society in Arkansas, right? He was from Arkansas.
Yeah.
They threw him out. They took away his license as a lawyer.
Yeah.
For what he did, but he ended up with it back. So I
know.
It is what it is.
From our text line, 4788298, Tom, who are you kidding? You guys don't believe in election results. You surely aren't going to believe a jury verdict. Well, Shane and I have said numerous times there's no definitive proof of any election being stolen by Biden. Not yet, anyway. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm fine with the election results. You don't want to read the indictment because it might change your opinion. Tell the truth. I'm not here to have an opinion. That's up to the listeners to have the opinions. Yeah, I'm just here to facilitate the opinions.
That's right.
Doesn't matter what I think.
And provide some overview.
Yeah.
And analysis of what we're talking about, to help people form or set on an opinion.
Yeah. If there was an indictment against Joe Biden, you'd be begging people. You'd be reading it out loud every weekend. Stop lying. So dishonest. Well, I don't think I encourage people to read the Hunter Biden plea deal. I mean, that was on. In fact, I sent it to you, Shane. I think
that's right.
Yeah,
you did.
I did. We didn't read it. We didn't talk about it. We didn't say it was. We thought it was a slap on the wrist, and as it turned out, we didn't say, oh, the indictment's all wrong. Hunter didn't have a gun, and he didn't smoke crack, and he paid his taxes for sure. So what's the deal?
Well, the sad reality, and we just talked about it. How did the woke Democrats deal with Biden and Kamala in the next election? The solution to this was to throw Hunter under the bus, a month ago. If they throw Hunter under the bus, he goes to jail for 5, 10, 20 years or whatever. His father's gonna pardon him on the way out the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking 18 months that he'd be in federal prison or whatever. This would have all ended. It'd all be over.
Yeah.
It would all be blamed on Hunter. The Democratic Party could blame it all on Hunter. And Biden could say, I love my son and I support him. And, for the benefit supporting him. I'm not going to run. And Kamala makes a comment about the fact that she wants to go home and blah, blah, blah. They had a great opportunity to get out from under this. It's a living nightmare. It's a daily nightmare.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, I have a question, a simple question. How is it possible for the Fulton County indictment to be published before the grand jury ruled on the particulars? Is this a crime looking for a victim? Well, that is a little suspicious, but, they I think, assumed it was going to be voted in favor of, so why not just drag it down there and file it with the clerk, save some time? Because they brought the thing into court at 11 p.m., Shane.
That's right.
Middle of the night.
I don't, from my understanding, from what I've been able to find out from reporting, it wasn't the clerk. Somebody else walked in there and, put it on the site. So it's like a fax machine, right, where you copy it and it goes on the site. So it was done intentionally. And when you have this kind of thing happen, all it does is weaken the whole concept of your legal system, because this is a major breach of the whole process of indicting someone, and it's just once again, it's one of these things where a piece. It's like someone chopping a tree down, right?
Yeah.
A big whack of the hatchet and another chunk of the tree came out.
There you go. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. We still got 2 full hours to go, so aren't you happy about that? So, hey, we'll be back. Trust me on that. Yeah, we're not going away. Spite of your cards, letters, and phone calls. We are coming back in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. Hey, it's Potato Fest over in Manhattan. Get over there and enjoy the festivities over there. Take some time out, have some fun. And Shane and I will return right after the news at the top of the hour. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. It's 7 minutes after the hour. It's Saturday, August 19th, 2023. It's a Potato Fest weekend at Manhattan. Get out there and enjoy the festivities, the bands, and they got a parade. They got all kinds of vendors out there, so it'll be a fun time. And so get out there.
Yeah, get your kids Mr. and Mrs. Potato Faces pieces so they can make a Mr. Potato or Mrs. Potato Head out of a real potato.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Shane, we're getting 4 new dog parks in Bozeman. 13 total we'll have. So all you dog owners out there that are wondering where you can take your dogs and let them run around. Some of them are leash-free. Some of them are leashed, but get out there. The new ones are going to be in Bridger Vale, South University District, Blackwood Groves, and Meadow Creek. So if you want to find out more about that, it's on the kbzk.com website. So check it out over there.
Has it ever bothered you with the Green New Deal and the concern about the gases produced by cattle and pigs and sheep is so terrible? They don't talk about wild animals. I mean, the bigger herds the herds of wild animals are far greater than the domesticated ones. But more importantly, what about pets? Mm-hmm. Like, you notice how they don't go after pets?
Yeah.
I mean, Americans spend $16 billion a year feeding and buying toys and caring for the pets. Veterinarian costs, as we all know, gone through the roof. Something that 20 years ago cost you, thank you, and have a hot coffee on your way out the door.
Yeah.
Now it's $4,000, right? But I've noticed, like in during this whole thing and over the last 20 years, no one has ever said anything about pets and how siding with PETA and you shouldn't have a pet, they shouldn't be domesticated, they should all be wild, and it's really it gives you a sort of a clear sort of understanding of really what their intention is and where they're coming from.
Yeah,
because they don't want to pick on something that would turn people away from what they want.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's the whole point right there. You start going after my pets. I don't care what party you are. You're going to get a pushback from me.
You lost me.
Yeah.
You lost me. The minute you said something about my pet, I'm gone.
That's it. Yeah. Oh well. Hey, we've got a news break here. Mandatory evacuations ordered in Flathead near the East Fork fire. So if I know some people get us up there in the Flathead area. So the order's in effect for north of mile marker 142 on Highway 93 to mile marker 157.9 Lincoln Flathead County line, and residents of Good Creek Road and those who access Good Creek west to the Lincoln County line. So all pre-evacuations were issued on the 17th are still in effect, including for Albany as well. So people are advised to be prepared to evacuate quickly in case the fire line moves. So we wish the best for those folks up there that this doesn't turn into another Maui in Montana.
It's amazing how these wildfires identify towns. Yellowknife is the capital of Northwest Territories.
Yeah.
It's not a province, it's a territory.
You only got one road out of that place, too.
Yeah, it's twice the size of France. There's only 44,000 people that live across the territory. And Yellowknife, there's 20,000, and they've been ordered to evacuate it. So, I mean, it's 1,600 kilometers to Calgary, and a lot of people are coming here, flying into here or Calgary to get out. But there's only one road in and out. And we're talking, this is like deep, dark wilderness, like Siberia,
Oh yeah, it's a bad situation up there. I was looking into that yesterday, and I meant to add it to our list. So I'm glad you remembered to do that. So, well, as much as I hate to do it, we should probably go through these indictments, Shane.
Okay.
Well, we'll do them by risk.
Okay, that's a good idea.
That makes sense. So at the bottom of the barrel is the Mar-a-Lago classified documents. He's charged with 40 counts, Shane, 40.
Yeah.
Now, when you have that many counts, it's more likely you're going to be found guilty on one of them. I can't believe you're going to be innocent of 40 different counts of breaking the law. I mean, that's...
Well, no, they each are 5 years, so you're talking 200 years.
Yeah. Well, he's got 32 counts of willful retention of national defense information, 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice, and several counts pending or pertaining to different forms of concealment of documents. And that's Jack Smith, the special counsel. And so, it's his retention. The subpoena had required Trump to turn over all documents in May of 22 that were marked as classified. He did not do it. And instead, in June 22, Trump team turned over 38 documents, and an attorney and the former president certified that any and all responsive documents were included. This was not true. So danger ranking for Trump, this would be number one of all of them, that he's going to get something for that. Even though the presidential document laws or whatever notwithstanding, I think this will end up in the Supreme Court, Shane.
They all will.
Yeah, I think they all will. Whether or not the Supreme Court will take them or not is a whole other story, but...
Oh, they have to. They have to stop the silliness.
Well, it may be silliness to us, but it may not be silliness to them. It depends on the standing, and it depends on the charges and the evidence provided as to whether the Supreme Court will take it up or not.
But the reason they'll take them on is because of the effort by the woke to have the court changed, or trying to force a couple of them to resign for traveling with friends, or they just the wokers attacked the Supreme Court at the very top and abused the process to get there. So they got to put an end to it. They just can't have it going on, because it's tearing your country apart.
Yeah. Well, I still think they're gonna. There may be some they take up. There may be some they say no, we're not going to hear it.
And they're even liberal judges or analysts, lawyers, people that know your Constitution and these laws have agreed that these are just unbelievably ridiculous charges. And certainly there's experts on the right, the conservative side that have come out. But the majority of the people in the woke media that I've listened to have been supposed journalists or, people that have, just a show that, say what they think. And they don't have a lot of people on that are lawyers saying, oh, you're right. I think I've seen one woke lawyer say, oh, yeah, he's going to get in trouble for this. I mean, someone that qualifies as a lawyer that could say that.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. It's really bad.
Yeah. Well, Trump's alleged to have suggested lying to authorities, saying one of his lawyers, wouldn't it be better if we just told him we didn't have anything here? But his aide is alleged to have moved boxes of documents at the president's direction. They also talked about possibility of surveillance cameras being turned off and things like that. So
they got to prove all that. So,
I know. That's why I say they got to prove it. And, it's the one that probably gives Trump the most danger of being convicted of it. So, because you got so many counts in there. I mean,
it'll be interesting how it's determined, because that case will go off in Florida, and if they get a change of venue, or the economy goes into a dump, which I still think is a very strong possibility. I think it's about 70-30. Yeah. Then there's no way a trial will be successful. No, if he's president trying to save the country and things are getting better, people aren't going to put him in jail. It's not going to happen. Well, even left, even people on the left, I think they're at a point to, at some point anyone has to look at all of this. And it's not a coincidence that they charge him within 48 hours of something coming up about the Biden family. Yeah. There's just too much for any sane person to look at this and say, oh, yeah, he's a real crook. He's giving me a break.
Well, as we just mentioned about Georgia, he has 13 counts, 18 co-defendants, 18 unindicted co-defendants, I should say. The charges include racketeering, 3 counts of soliciting a public official to violate their oath, and 2 counts of conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree. And the egregious part there is having non-electors sign that they are electors. So we'll see where that ends up. That's the one that the Willis gal is going after.
Yeah, well, we'll see where we get with all the video they do have of the election from 2020. And the lawyers of the 19 people that she's charged, cross-examining the people that were bringing in those containers of ballots, because they're going to now be able to have access to all those people. Yeah. They'll be able to, sit down and question them before the trial. And if they go to trial, all those people will be called to the witness stand, and 19 lawyers are going to cross-examine them as to what they did that night and how they did it. And, so they're giving him a sledgehammer and 18 other guys. It's so wacky. Really dumb.
Well, legal experts are divided on whether there is some modicum of defense for Trump in his arguments that he believed his claims to be accurate. Trump defenders have sought to cast this as an indictment infringing upon the right of free speech, but it's not really true. He is being indicted for actions such as trying to persuade Raffensperger to step in or submitting the allegedly wrong legal filings. So depending on what testimony comes up with that, that's going to be serious for him.
Yep, and it's a great lesson for the American people to realize that government, whether it's state, local, or federal, has an unlimited amount of their money to spend on useless attacks or arrests.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Well, Trump is charged with 4 counts of conspiracy in the January 6th Capitol riot, defraud the United States, conspiracy against rights, and 2 charges relating to obstruction of an official proceedings. He is the sole person named in the indictment, although it also lists 6 unnamed and unindicted co-conspirators. This is Jack Smith again, will be the lead prosecutor in this. And this is, going up to what led to the riot at the Capitol.
But the problem here is worse than you can imagine. He has to prove that this is a good one. He has to prove that Trump knew he was lying, knew he'd lost the election, and knew that he was trying to overturn it because he knew he had lost and was going to fight it. Well, no. We all know that. He knows that. Everything he's done knows that. Everything everyone's heard him say is different. He believes that he lost. He believes it was rigged. He believes it was a bad election. So to go into court and try and convince a jury of peers of what he was thinking as opposed to doing is absurd. It's just absurd.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that the case is taking place in Washington is also bad for Trump because 93% of Washington voted for Biden in the last election. So
yeah, but that right there gives his lawyers a right to appeal it. Right. Well,
you would think so. Yeah. Yeah, you got 93% of the vote in District of Columbia. So the obvious defense for the president is to argue, plausibly or otherwise, that he legitimately believed the election had been stolen. And in this case, Shane, the 50 or so court actions Trump brought never saw the inside of a courtroom. They were dismissed or not taken up by the judge. So those could be introduced here as evidence. So 100%. those 50 charges could be dropped in there. It's the indictment anticipates this argument, noting how many aides and supporters told Trump his claims were wrong, but he could presumably assert that others told him he was right and he believed them. And that's hardly a watertight defense. But if he can show some track history of something that was, wrongdoing by an electorate or a state or whatever, then he might have something there. So,
well, all I can do is give you 3 words: President Buchanan against Jackson, Thomas Jefferson, and that other president in 1880 or 1820, John Quincy Adams. So there you go. Yeah, it has happened 3 times before in your history. There's no reason Trump couldn't look at this and say it happened again. So. Yeah.
Well, the weakest one.
End of story.
Yeah. The weakest one, of course, is the Stormy Daniels money, falsifying business documents and records and whatever that Alvin Bragg is going after him for. That's the least proof of anything, but
it's so exaggerated because she lost the civil case. Yeah, she sued him for that and lost, and was ordered. Ended up ordered by the court to pay his costs. And so, how he can use the same thing for a federal offense when civil case it was discovered, decided against her. It's just absurd.
Yeah. Well, the crux of this story is that Trump's attorney Michael Cohen paid Stormy Daniels the money, and Trump turned around and they made those payments back to Cohen as a retainer agreement for legal services. So whether or not that's kind of ambiguous at best, but if it's an improper listing, then he could be found guilty of business records. But I doubt if there's going to be much of a penalty for that.
But it's sick because this guy Smith is sick.
Yeah.
He should have been disbarred. He's using the same logic and argument of an old law against Trump he did against 3 other politicians whose cases all went to the Supreme Court and were turned down on either a 9-0 vote or 7-2 vote. Mm-hmm. So this guy, he shouldn't be even allowed in a courtroom, and he shouldn't even be allowed to have a license to practice law because of what he's done in the past. But it's just a gross abuse of power and money, and people like that in your system. He should be charged with having to pay the costs of his actions if they're so grievously wrong.
Yeah. Well, the New York case is the weakest. There's pretty much a universal degree of belief that it's the weakest of the 4 Trump cases. Even some harsh critics of the president have been notably lukewarm about it. It's also the least compelling in the court of public opinion. It concerns private behavior from before Trump was president. The behavior in question was the Daniels payment, but it hardly poses a danger to American democracy or national security. So in contrast to the alleged conduct in the other 3 cases, the most notable thing about the New York case is that it marked the first time in history a president or ex-president has been criminally indicted. So that's kind of breaks it down by case.
With no cause of harm shown.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I know. I'm putting it simple.
No, I understand.
The ridiculous thing about yes, you agree. Why do people do that? I watch that on television all the time. Some host asks somebody they've invited on the show, and they ask them a question, and they agree with the question, but they immediately say no, and they go, "I agree with you." You should say, "Yes, I agree with you."
Yes, why not?
Anyway, the point is it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's a gross abuse of prosecutorial or prosecutorial, whatever it is.
Prosecutorial,
That's it. Thank you very much.
That's why I'm here.
It's prosecutorial abuse. It's like saying aluminum.
From our text line, 406-478-8298, we talked about Brian Schweitzer earlier and John Tester running for Senate, and Schweitzer was on with Aaron and said he held up pretty good for a Democrat. So glad to have that. So the real problem with the left-wing media is propping Trump up with free publicity. They want Trump to be a GOP candidate because he has the least chance in the general election. Well, don't call him out too soon because nobody thought he had a chance in the first election against Hillary. So 81 million people voted for Biden. Heaven help us. Joe Biden, head of the Biden crime family syndicate, is the most corrupt, incompetent, treasonous, senile, lying fraud to ever stain the corridors of the White House. The stench of corruption reaches all the way to the Rocky Mountains. Wow.
Whoa.
Don't sugarcoat it next time, okay?
So would that be called a cold or a cold front or a high front? Is that a high or a low front? Oh, I guess with his son on his side, it would be a high front.
Yeah. Usually a crime is committed and we look for the perpetrator. Seems like the Dems have picked the perpetrator looking for a crime. Isn't that how the commies do it? All right, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Hey, we've still got an hour and a half to go, so hang around because it's going to be great. Potato Fest over in Manhattan going on today. Get over there and enjoy the festivities and support the folks over there in Manhattan and all the potato growers around. Good for you. We'll return right after the news at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned. Don't go away. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's August 19th, 2023. Potato Fest going on over in Manhattan. Get over there and join the fun. And Well, it's still 56 degrees outside, Shane. I don't know. We're looking for 79 or 80 today, I think, as a high. So not too bad. So
at this potato festival, are there people cooking potatoes a whole bunch of different ways? Is that one of the things they do?
No.
Is there bands?
There are bands. There's vendors. It's like a, I don't know, just a get together of the townspeople to come over. Yeah. They might have, I don't know, they may have some kind of potato contest or something like that, or biggest potato, or rolling them on the lawn or something. I don't know, but anyway. I've been to, a couple of them.
Giving away grandma's potato salad recipe?
I haven't been able to go to them very often because I was always working on Saturday. We were on from 11 to 2 for years, if you remember.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that kind of cut the kibosh on it. And then here in the morning, I should start going back over there. But anyway, it's a lot of fun, a lot of walking. They've got all sorts of vendors and people selling stuff and crafts and arts and all that. So it's a fun time. Go over there and get out of the house and kind of enjoy yourself a little bit. Let's see. Shane's favorite word now is woke. What's the opposite of woke? Sleep? Is that what you are? No? Shane's not asleep, that's for sure. It's funny how all your listeners have opinions about Trump, that the charges are fake, yet none of them, I guess, have read the indictment. So where did they get their opinion? Well, they're looking at the facts, looking at the charges.
All you have to do is see what he did for 4 years as president.
Yeah, I was going to say he
gave away his salary. Never took a salary.
Yep.
His whopping $400,000 a year he gave away to charity. He didn't enhance more government interference, because for every new regulation, 2 had to be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh knows you could have your Congress spend just 1 year reviewing the last 240 years or 45 years of laws, and pass some legislation to get rid of a bunch of things that aren't required anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, so overall, when you look at it, other than the fact that he was on Twitter, you have nothing to complain about the guy. So it's one of those things. But that's why the media attacked him so much about being on Twitter. It's the only thing they could attack him on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they made such a big thing out of it to try and get people to dislike him or turn against him. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how easily people are persuaded for something that's, how important is someone, sending out a message on, a text?
Mm-hmm.
How's that affecting the cost of food or gas or your job, or your bonus at the end of the year, or the taxes you pay? I mean, it's a bit ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he signed 3 bills for American Indians, one to give the Spokane tribe their lands back, one to fund native language programs, and another one to give federal recognition to the Little Shell tribe of Chippewa Indians in Montana. So he did that, of course. And what a lot of people don't realize, he made cruelty to animals a felony, Shane.
He did, yeah. And of course, he doesn't get any credit for it.
No.
And you would think that people would stand out at PETA and shout from the top of the mountain, but no, they don't.
Well, he signed a bill making CBD and hemp legal, and also gave $100 million to fix the water in Flint, Michigan. So, also ended the gag order on pharmacists that prevented them from sharing money-saving information. In other words, is there a cheaper medication available?
Medication, that's right.
That they were able, now they are able to tell you that, where they were prohibited before.
Yeah, when the copyright of a drug would run out, there was others that were producing or being produced that were cheaper, and they weren't being able to tell people that.
Yeah.
Their doctors should have known, but doctors are paid not to do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, you have $10 million a year to clean tons of plastic and garbage out of the ocean. Did that. Signed a bill allowing some drug imports from Canada so prices would go down.
Particularly for people with diabetes. Yeah.
Yeah. Signed an executive order that forces all healthcare providers to disclose the cost of their services so Americans can compare shop. So that was a good thing. Yeah, hospitals now have to are required to post their standard charges for services. So if you get a knee replacement or a appendectomy or something like that or whatever, that they got to tell you how much that's going to cost you.
That's right, up front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not you're not hit with a bill for a $10 aspirin or $20 in bandaging. If they give you a upfront cost for what it is, that's what it is.
Yeah. VA employees are being held accountable for poor performance. More than 4,000 VA employees removed, demoted, or suspended under Trump. So that's just a few of the many things. Right to try. You could try experimental drugs not authorized by the FDA if you're terminal. He allowed that.
Well, but let's go back to the VA one. This we're talking about Veterans Administration. It's unbelievable to realize that number of people were let go.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking dozens or a few hundred, you could go, well, gee, but when you're talking thousands and then more than 2,000, it's the largest medical enterprise in your country.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that the VA is bigger than any other hospital group or in your country, and to have which had to have been somewhere between 5 and 10% of the staff fired, fired
or suspended or demoted or moved elsewhere or something.
I can't imagine the harm they did to people. I just don't. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, Joe Biden can find a cure for cancer, and Republicans would still say Hunter's laptop. Well, we would. We'd say, congratulations, Joe, for curing cancer, but what about Hunter's laptop?
Yeah, and that would go from curing dementia and Alzheimer's. And
all the stuff there. So. Climate crazies most likely think oxygen has borders and is our country responsible for pollution and Aussie shepherd flatulence. Speak of Hawaii, Big Sky is all money over matter, one way in and out. 64 was backed up by for hours yesterday, I guess. So I know we've got some listeners in Hawaii, so maybe that was from one of those folks.
Yeah, there you go.
Talking about the particular road being blocked. They don't throw Biden under the bus because he has dirt on everyone. Yeah, he's been there a long time, Shane. He knows where the bodies are buried, I guess.
We've talked about that. Clinton did the same thing when they impeached him. Yeah. When the Senate was to vote on impeaching him or not. Yeah. He spent several hours, a couple of, the previous 2 days.
Talking to the folks,
talking to all these guys saying, well, I go down, we all go down. You know what I got.
Yeah. Trump should have hired investigators instead of lawyers. Now, that's a good point, I would say.
Well, they did hire the investigators.
I would imagine he did some.
Yes, they did.
It seems that policy is no longer the primary concern of politicians. Ethics has become the weapon of choice. Yeah.
Well, that's probably a fair view of it, but that it's not very ethical what they're pursuing as far as ethics. The reality is that there's no moral issue. There's no shame.
Yeah.
And there's no moral equivalent to what they're doing because it's so immoral.
Yeah.
And that becomes a real sadness because the premises of your country and the fact that it's been so successful was the religious aspect of it, and the religious aspect of it was the mores. And when there are none, everything becomes acceptable, as we've said. And you're seeing that now with all the transgender issues that have come up. I mean, it just now they're talking about the government paying to take the woman's ability to produce a child and transplant it into a man. Mm-hmm. It's just like, are we just really that far gone now?
I think so. Well, not only that, they're talking about having where the baby isn't even in the woman any longer. It's in a pod of some kind. You know.
Yeah, right.
They make the baby sort of test tube like, and so.
Yeah, its first choice when it's born is you take the red pill or the green pill.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, Stormy Daniels was the only person Trump ever hired to do anything that was actually qualified to do the job they were hired for. Well, there you are. I guess maybe the text of the day.
Yeah, might very well be.
Oh, well.
That was good.
Speaking of pets, guys, I have a family member in Southern California, and people are dumping their purebreds, all kinds of dogs, all over the street. There's dogs running everywhere over there. If you want a dog, please go to California and adopt from the shelter. I think all these people that hate Trump, I think a lot of it stems from jealousy.
Oh.
Yeah, they're jealous of Trump. Wow, did Shane just say Trump didn't add regulations? No, he didn't say that. He said that for every new regulation, they had to get rid of 2.
That's right. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure no president has ever overseen the dissolution of the constitutional rights of Americans in any way close to what Trump allowed during the Kung Flu crap show. Well, that wasn't done by the president. That was done by your local health authorities. No, Trump didn't come to Bozeman, Montana and shut it down.
No, he didn't. That was he did in the essence of what he was advised and what a lot of the medical guidelines set within the human resources department of your country, that a lot of these decisions were up to governors and up to local politicians or mayors and so forth. And so that he took that advice, and that's what he did. He said, "This is this is a decision to be made locally, not nationally."
Yeah. Yeah, because there were several. Florida didn't shut down. South Dakota didn't shut down. I mean, there was plenty of states that didn't shut down, so it wasn't on Trump.
Nope.
So you didn't read the Trump indictment? No, I didn't. Almost like he isn't the sitting president. If there was ever a Biden indictment, I'll read it because he's the president. Kind of simple. Well, hey, educate yourself any way you feel is necessary.
That's right.
But until it goes to court, it is it's just a piece of paper.
That's right. So much can happen between charges being filed and even the court. I mean, it can be thrown out by the judge. Parts of it can be thrown out by the judge. They can get a different judge to make a observation about what the charges are. A superior judge. So there's all kinds of things that could be done. You can't do anything until, like you say, it's actually in court, and we're getting news of what was talked about that day in court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you think any of this is going to be resolved in total before the 2024 election, I have twin bridges for you.
Or just please hold your breath.
Yeah, hold your breath. From our text line, that texter was correct. They hand Trump the headlines because they beat him once and they'll do it again. They're scared of DeSantis because he's Trump without the arrogance, and they know too many moderate Democrats will vote for him. Well, he's losing in New Hampshire, where Swamy has taken over second place in New Hampshire ahead of DeSantis. DeSantis is turning into Jeb Bush.
That's right. And the 23rd, I think it's next Wednesday, is the first debate on Fox. So it'll be interesting to see if Trump shows up. I don't think he will. I don't know that he has any reason to.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that I would bet that between 5 and 10 million people watch that debate. I think people find it interesting.
Yeah. I think they will. I think I've changed my mind on Trump showing up. I was pretty sure that his ego just wouldn't let him stay away from, that kind of publicity. Yeah. But, I can understand him staying away because otherwise it turns into all of his indictments and all of that. So I don't think, with the unsurmountable lead that he has in the Republican electorate, there's no need for him to be there. The others can fight it out for VP. No,
he'll pick that governor of South Dakota. You've seen all the ads she's been doing.
Yeah.
Who do you think's paying for that?
Yeah.
The Republican Party is. And,
well,
they're setting her up as a bonus VP, and she would work out really well.
Yeah. Well, Kristi Noem's been doing a lot of ads about South Dakota, obviously. So, not running for anything other than governor there. So. But I could certainly, I would be happy to turn into any speech she wants to make, turn the sound down and just watch. She's the best looking governor I've ever seen.
I'll bet.
Let's see. Maybe people hate Trump because Trump's a liar, a fake, and a danger to our country and our Constitution. We patriots want our country back. Well, if you think Biden is wanting your country back, I've got 3 bridges. I've got an inventory of bridges here that really need. I need to move these. So please do not lecture us on morality while you support a man who is convicted of sexual assault, stole from a chancer, cheated on wives. Hey, all that happened before he was president. We knew that going in. We knew he grabbed women. We knew he had the thing with Stormy Daniels. We knew he cheated on his wives. We knew all that going in.
Yeah, right.
So please, give it a rest.
Well, everyone knew that Biden liked ice cream going in.
Yeah.
Well, you heard what he said this week to children at the White House. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Gee, I know where there's some great places to get ice cream around here. Just come let me know what you want after we're done here. Like what? Oh, scary.
Yeah. Whether you do or do not read the indictment, listen to some guy on talk radio instead. Hey, read the indictment. I'm all for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Go for it. Yeah.
It's out there, baby.
And Tom said he'll believe the jury verdict. That's the joke of the day. Why would I not believe the jury verdict?
I mean, I agree with it.
Yeah, I don't agree with it, but I'll believe it. I mean,
but you have to accept it. That's the deal.
Just like you have to accept the election, whether you think it was stolen or not, you have to accept it. So there you are.
And in the 21st century, the defense has a right to recuse people from being on the jury if they want.
Yeah.
And so it is a jury of your peers, like it or not.
Yeah. Chris Christie's the only one brave enough to tell the story or tell the truth, and he's actually a conservative. He's got my vote. I like Christie. I don't have a problem with Chris Christie.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure that he was, that successful as governor of New Jersey. Sure, he certainly wasn't popular, but when he left office. So, yeah. I mean, that's all I sort of have to go on, right? When he was governor of New Jersey, really.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, in all my years, I never dreamed that fascism would gain a foothold in America, let alone be embraced by the Democrat Party. Whether Stalin, Fidel Castro, Adolf Hitler, and others, they all eliminated their political opposition one way or another. Have no doubt this is exactly what Biden, the Attorney General Merrick, thank God he's not on the Supreme Court, Garland, said their yard dogs are attempting to do to President Trump. Eliminate him and the threat he is to their agendas. Every American should be deeply concerned.
And two more arguments. Take the guns away from everyone. And the biggest one is read Mao's Little Red Book.
Yeah.
60 years. It would take 60 years for him to establish a communist regime in China because of the children. 3 generations, 20, 20-year generations to have the children on the side of what the communist concept was. And he didn't make it, for 42 years. That's it.
Ethics, the weapon of choice. If politicians had integrity, ethics couldn't be weaponized.
Yeah.
I think you're right about that, yeah. I think Trump is a little naive in trusting the advice of the entrenched bureaucrats during his 4 years.
Well, there's no question about that. The one thing about it that says the people that were closest to him in the White House should have told him, look, there's no one in any of these cabinet positions that you've appointed good conservatives to run that you can depend on, because the Democrats have made certain that it's all Democratic thinking people in the second to third, fourth, fifth, sixth tier down. So they control the government.
Yeah.
The minions.
There you go. Yeah, South Dakota governor rides motorcycles and horses on top of her good looks. How can it get any better?
Oh, seeing her in her hair in curlers with a with a really nice bathrobe. That'd be cool, right? Curlers and bathrobe.
Yeah.
And slippers. The classic 1950 look, right?
She still get my vote, but
that's right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, watching her ride that horse with the American flag, man. Now that's America.
That's hey, baby.
Amen. I don't think we'll see Trump or Biden or DeSantis or any of the others riding horses anytime soon. But anyway, you don't know. Anyway,
not with chaps on. Not with chaps.
Look at that. It's already 10 o'clock, Shane.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
All right. Hey, we've still got a lot to talk about here. There's all kinds of things. Montana judge sides with youth activists on climate change. What's the world coming to? And the virtual country singer turns down an $8 million offer, Shane. Wow. And the Constitution bars Trump from holding public office ever again. We got to talk about that when we come back. So, a lot to do. So, stay tuned. Tom and Shane in the morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Final hour of Tom and Shane. 7 minutes after the hour of, I guess it's 10 o'clock.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I want to make a comment or an observation.
Go for it.
Sometimes when we go on break, I listen to the news because I care. And so Fox News was talking just now during our break, and they came out with this story from the Fed, from the San Francisco Fed Bank. As everyone knows from our show, there are 21 districts for the Fed in the United States, and each one has its own bank and president, and that president sits on the entire board of the Fed to make a determination about interest that the Fed charges and the interest rates being set. So having said that, they came out with this report. They said that Americans have been saving the money they got from COVID as a cushion, and that once that cushion runs out, they expect in at the end before, or with school coming, that the consumer purchasing may be reduced. And the other concern they have, of course, is that for the first time, Americans are using credit cards, and the debt on American credit cards is over $1 trillion for the first time. Well, that's just not true. You and I talked about this.
Oh, yeah. Been $1 trillion for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's right. You and I talked about this before COVID. It was 1.7 trillion. Yeah. And we talked about how amazing that Americans were about managing their money, because by the end of 2000 or the middle of 2022, they paid off almost 500 billion, and the credit card debt was 1.2, and now it's back over at 1.3 billion, and so people have had about $1 billion or 135 million more. So this is what you and I are dealing with, and I just want people to know we're trying to keep a lid on the facts of what are real out there for you to make decisions, not trying to convince you of anything. And so it's hard when you're one of the best sources we've always had is Fox, and they come up with a story like this. Now, it's not Fox's story. Mm-hmm. It's the Fed's story they're reporting. But the point is that this is coming from your government and the Fed, who's setting bank rates that's causing you to head toward double-digit mortgage rates, and they're putting out bogus stories.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number, 406-522-8255. Caller, thanks for waiting. You're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Tom, 3 quick questions, if I may, please.
Sure.
First is, have you had any complaints from anyone about the interrupted signal that comes from KMMS throughout the week? I've been pleasantly surprised this morning you guys haven't had any interruption in your signal. Excuse me. But during the week, I was worried that my little piece of crap Radio Shack AM/FM transistor radio was the problem over the last several months, but my excellent radio in my wife's little F-150 and in my excellent radio in my little Jeep Liberty, I've experienced signal interruptions with them also, and I left a complaint message on the voicemail at KMMS, and yesterday afternoon, just for the heck of it, I went online to their website so I could listen to Marco Levin and still got a interruption in the signal. So if anybody down there wants somebody to come down with a good soldering gun and solder and, fix some wires that keep coming apart because they're only twisted together, I'll sure come down and solder the heck out of things and fix that for them if they need it.
Well, I'll tell you, the board I'm using here in the station has Marconi's signature on it. That's how old it is.
Okay. Well, I know how to solder all kinds of stuff, and you can use super glue too, so I can fix that.
Okay.
And my second and third question.
Sure, go ahead.
My second and third question pertains to Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Do you have any familiarization with that book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because within Sun Tzu's book is the subject of fifth columns. Do you have any familiarity with what fifth columns are?
Yes.
Because over the last several years, I've slowly come to the realization that we've got Sun Tzu's book in play via the Democrat Party, and they are using fifth columns to disrupt our culture and our society, just like what Sun Tzu called for in The Art of War. And so it really, really, really has got me stirred up.
I don't know if you know this, but the protocol and rules of your military, anyone over any officer above lieutenant is required reading is the Sun Tzu's Art of War and annual tests and questioning about it. Did you know that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
The military have been using that book, and the military schools, West Point and so forth, the Naval Academy.
I've heard
they've been using that for the last 50 years. Yeah.
I'm in the process of reading that book for the third time now.
You have to
and,
read it 3 times. Yeah.
And I learned something and get my memory refreshed on some things every time.
The Trump trials.
We should tell everyone this is a book written by a famous general of China several thousand years ago.
Yeah.
And every Asian. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The version I'm looking at is translated by a guy named Samuel B. Griffith, and Liddell Hart wrote the forward.
Right.
It is so thorough and so complete that I don't know how a guy can improve on it much. But Mao Zedong depended upon this Chinese war history, and in this book it talks at some length in here about what Mao Zedong did and how he handled this information. Especially around the states.
General Schwarzkopf made it famous in the military, or brought it out into the military because he admitted that he used the art of war to destroy Saddam Hussein and retake Kuwait because that's how he came up with his whole plan to outdo Saddam Hussein. So yeah, it's quite a read. It's a little tiny book, folks. You can put it in a jacket pocket in a suit or in a small purse. So yeah, it's great to have just to read while you're having a coffee or a cookie or something. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Getting back to your second question, we also simulcast on 95.1 FM.
Well,
so I don't know if it cuts off on the FM side or not.
I'm aware of that, but I normally don't listen to the FM side at all.
Yeah.
And I have stumbled around and through some of the FM stations there trying to find you KMMS at one point in time, but my little piece of crap Radio Shack transistor was having a hard time being able to find the signal and then be able to read exactly what the station number was, and and KMMS should be able to get their act together. So this is Mr. Have Soldering Gun Will Travel, and you guys, thanks a bunch. We'll see you.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. All right. I'm glad we're coming to you uninterrupted. So yeah. Yeah, I get text messages throughout the week of dead air on KMMS. Unfortunately, I not even being an employee of Town Square Media, I can't do anything about it. So, they won't let me anywhere near any kind of plugs or switches or dials. So all I can do is pass it on. And but yeah, it's embarrassing for us to be live here because I think we are the only live show on this station. Everything else is computerized and whatever. Some of it may be due to sunspots. Some of it might be due to who knows what. The two tall buildings on Mendenhall just down the street from us, if those had been a foot one way or the other, they would have blocked our signal. We would have had to move the transmitter because it's a line of sight transmission to here. So yeah, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me. Well, it doesn't feed me anything, but we're grateful they let us at least come in here, So I guess we've been here long enough. They trust us. So I don't know. So But anyway, three quick quotes from The Art of War. Those who master them win. Those who do not are defeated. All warfare is based on deception, Shane. And for there has never been a protracted war from which a country has benefited.
There you go.
So, there you go.
Attack your enemy where he will be, not where he is.
Where he is,
You don't want to attack your enemy where he is because he's defended. So you want to attack your enemy where he will be.
Yeah. The victorious army wins its victories before seeking battle.
That's right.
There you go. You win before you seek the battle. So that's our educational
military day
thought of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to politics, former President Trump's lawyers are proposing an April 2026 trial in the federal case over his efforts to block the transfer of power after the 2020 election. So they had proposed January 2nd, Shane, about 7 months from now or so. And the lawyers say there's no way we can prepare this level of a case that quickly.
Because of that indictment and the way it was written, it allows now for his lawyers to open up cross-examination of the entire January 6th committee and their investigation, which oddly enough has told everyone now, last week they destroyed all the evidence. Wow, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So that's going to become an issue because now that'll take months to straighten out. And then, of course, they'll have the right to probably cross-examine all the people that have been arrested. And can you imagine them starting to pull people that are still in jail, in seclusion in jail, and have been for what now, coming up on 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And having them deposed and maybe called as potential witnesses? No Democratic prosecutor wants that.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine a guy getting on the being sat by a judge and looking at the judge and saying, "Oh, so this is a courtroom. I've been in solitary confinement for 4 years without being able to talk to a lawyer."
Yeah.
I mean,
what's going on with that?
It's over.
Well, the other thing too is there's such a thing called discovery. In other words, the prosecution has to share the information they have with the defense.
That's right.
So Smith has 11.5 million pages of discovery so far. So you're not gonna be able to process 11.5 million pages of discovery by January 2nd.
Well, it would just take 6 to 7 months to load that information into a computer to use artificial intelligence to review it. So, not going to happen.
The fact is, the only person who has the magnetism, charm, personality, business sense, confidence, and so on, Christie is like a bag of mashed potatoes, and he has none of those things. Oh, there you are. So,
well, keep in mind he got elected governor in one of the bluest states in your country.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for being on the air. I like to get a link or printout of comparisons of what Trump accomplished and what Biden accomplished so far. I could, with both in hand, ask people if they agree with ones and they don't agree with. Some on both sides would say, "Oh, geez, I voted for the wrong one." Biden allegedly have an affair with Jill. He's squeaky clean, right?
Yeah, right. That's right. She was married, and he was at the time, too.
Oh, there you are, yeah. Either all these people have faked facts in their indictments, photos, texts, emails, or Trump lied and is guilty. Well, the judge and jury will figure that out. Thank God we have a judicial system in this country. Saying Chris Christie is conservative is like saying Trump is pale. I'd only choose Christie if I desperately needed a flotation device. KMMS KMMS manager hates America lovers. He starts Bongino with the putrid swamp. He cuts off the beginning on purpose. Then during the Levine, the volume fades in and out throughout the show. It's a damn miracle that Tom and Shane are even on the air. That's for sure. That is a friggin' miracle.
You know, I saw Caitlyn Jenner on TV just last week in an interview, and they were talking about, because she was an athlete, or she is an athlete, you know, the athleticism of Biden and Trump. And she commented that 2 days before she was out on the golf course with Trump, and they played a round of golf, and he beat her. You know, and he's, you know, 79 or 80, isn't he? Or 79. Mm-hmm. And she said, this guy's amazing. I mean, you should see the size of his hands. I mean, he rides a cart, but he gets out and he can hit that ball 270 yards, and he's never fell down once, and he makes 20-foot putts, and he's a competitor. And then she said, and you look at Biden and he can't ride a bike. Mm-hmm. What else can I say?
Yeah. Well, a former Senate aide who last year accused Joseph R. Biden Jr. of inappropriate touching has made an allegation of sexual assault against the former vice president, the Democratic Party's presumptive presidential nominee this fall, Tara Reade, who briefly worked as a staff assistant in Mr. Biden's Senate, told the New York Times that in 1993, Mr. Biden pinned her to a wall in the Senate building, reached under her clothing, and penetrated her. So
yeah, we've heard that story for years.
So the only reason I point it out is that not all politicians are the choir boys we'd like for them to be.
Well, and another reason it should be pointed out is people want to know where woke came from. Well, it came from women. Wake up about abuse of women, right?
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example. This was one of those situations where a woman comes forward, and the left doesn't want to believe her, you know, because it's a charge against a Democrat. Mm-hmm. But boy, if a woman comes forward with a charge against a Republican, including Trump, wow, we're all over that. You know? Yeah. So that's the problem you have there. No, she never got any traction because no one on the left wanted to believe what happened or cared to know.
Yeah. From our text line, 4788298. Biden sexually assaulted a page in the Senate. 95-1 works great. And Gay also said something about Shane shouldn't talk about women like that. I don't know what you said about women that was offensive. I don't think you said any of that. Whatever it is, Gay, let us know what he said.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Yeah. If I offended you some way, I'd like to be corrected. Yeah.
Yeah. Trump accomplishments, according to Tom, include stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
He had nothing to do with. What do you mean? He signed executive orders. He signed bills. What do you mean he had nothing to do with it?
Yeah.
I mean, he could have vetoed the bills just as easily. You know, well, you got to give Biden credit for the Inflation Reduction Act. He signed that. And the infrastructure bill, you give him credit for that because he signed it?
Yeah, it's like your president right now taking credit for 4.5 million jobs that people came back to because they were taken from them because they shut down your economy during COVID. So he decides to open the economy up and people go back to work, and he takes credit for them being new jobs. I mean, it's like the amount of absurdity we're dealing with makes it sometimes difficult to have something to talk about.
Yeah. Jerry heard the story and found him guilty. Yeah, they found Trump guilty, and we believe the jury.
That's right.
Best criminal defense, put an R next to your name and run for president and claim they're out to get me. Sign bills. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's hard work. Well, okay. Yeah, that's what the president does. The president signs bills.
That's right.
You know, it's one of his 5 jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Trump's accomplishments released 5,000 Taliban fighters to Afghanistan. Brilliant. Yeah. And the 19th was the second anniversary of the Taliban withdrawal from Afghanistan, the debacle by Biden. So.
And here's what I like to call a dirty little secret. This will be of interest to everyone. So the president, you'll find out if you check any president in 245 years, they have signed several hundred pieces of legislation or bills, but no one talks about them because they're about changing the name of a building or a bridge. You know, it's just legislation that's not relevant. Really, is what it is.
Which one of the Republican debaters could become a potential cabinet member? Of the ones that I'm aware of, I would say Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson, and the other governor guy. I can't remember the other governor that's in there.
Yeah. Well, DeSantis.
Bergen, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, good thing we're coming up on break. I'll look it up while we're gone.
All right, you do that. Do a deep dive.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I would say Haley would be the most obvious because she's been ambassador to the UN, been a governor, so she's got some experience in there. So, all right, that's gonna wrap it up for this segment. It is Saturday. Hey, don't forget, Manhattan's got the Potato Fest going on out there, so go over there and have some fun, enjoy yourselves. The weather's pretty nice and cool outside. So hey, have a good afternoon over in Manhattan. We'll be right back. Final segment right after this. Welcome back, everyone. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's August 19th, 2023. Potato Fest going on over in Manhattan. Get over there and enjoy yourself. Have a good time. And Shane and I will try to come close to entertaining you for the final half hour of the show.
Is that what we're doing? Entertaining?
What we're trying to do. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing we don't have writers because I would have a hard time reading something.
Okay, we got a clarification on what you said about women that was negative. Seeing women in robes and curlers. That was taken as an objective by one of our listeners. So
only the reference was to the typical 1950 commercial, which if you, I remember seeing the 1950 and 1960 commercials, particularly of mothers in the kitchen with robes on, curlers in their hair, and slippers, and that was my reference. You know that. So if that was insulting, I'm sorry, but you know that came from Fifth Avenue in New York City 50 years ago.
All right. Well, we're talking about potential cabinet members. I think Haley would be one, and the other governors. Christie was supposed to have a cabinet position, I think, when Trump won, and that's why they kind of had a falling out. I think Christie was looking forward to some kind of cabinet position in the Trump White House, but never happened.
No, it didn't. I think one of the reasons was it was Attorney General. That's what he wanted. Yeah. And I think quite honestly, now that Trump wishes he probably would have done it, because the idiot from Alabama really put it to Trump, man. The elf, as we call him. Remember the elf? Yeah. That senator from Alabama.
Yeah. In 1938, singer Honey Ledbetter warned black people they best stay woke, keep their eyes open, going through Scottsdale, Alabama, the scene of a famous minstrel involving 9 young black men. The word was first defined in print by William Melvin Kelly, a black novelist, in an article published in the New York Times in 1962. And Mr. Kelly defined it as someone who is well-informed, up-to-date. Black people used it in reference to racism and other matters for decades. And I think I've given my definition of woke here before, but I'll give it again. It's only 3 words. It's feelings over facts.
Fair enough.
That is it. Trump is laughing at how easy it is to lie to his follower. They are suckers. Even send money to him. 54 million was the last number I heard, Shane, that the president has raked in. So,
well, yeah, that's why do people do this?
Well, it's fear, Shane. They're afraid. They're afraid. They're afraid.
His campaign,
yeah.
And no, he's not using any of that money to defend himself, and no, he's not using any of that money to defend other people.
Mm-hmm.
He's using his own money to defend himself. It's money he's using or being raised to run his campaign. Like people normally do. The fact that he's gotten more than anyone else speaks, to the fact that he has more support than anyone else. End of story.
I was going to say that, I think a lot of the Democrats thought when these indictments started coming down that the Republican Party would move away. And that hasn't happened. In fact, almost every indictment has increased his popularity among Republicans. And, you have to wonder why this piling on by the Justice Departments in these various places. Why? What's the fear? What's the fear of this guy, Shane?
That he will remedy the issue that we're watching and have been for a number of years, and hold people accountable. Look, it's really important, and this has got to be said. The media will take donations to a candidate as a better example than any poll they can take as to his being ahead or recognized or support of people and voters.
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't it be? Whoever's raising the most money obviously has the most support.
That's it. Yeah.
This is not science. Okay.
Well,
it's just logic.
Yeah. Well, also the bulk of his 54 million is from people paying $200 or less.
Or less.
Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Fear over facts. Trump supporter. Okay. Trump is suckering donations, paying for his jetting around and golf.
Not true. That's all just made up.
Yeah. Trump lawyers got paid $40 million from his donors, then they all quit. Well,
that's not true either.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 3 Hunter Biden lawyers quit yesterday.
That's correct. Just yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's now 11 total that have quit defending Hunter Biden. 11 in the last, 8 or 9 months, I think it is. It's a lot. A lot of lawyers have looked and walked away.
Yeah.
As in, nothing I can do to help you here.
Yeah. I fear Trump, too, will not need to answer to voters, will fulfill his promises to be vindictive. You should fear him, too. It's only 4 years, folks. What's he going to do? Come on. Right. You got Congress, and you've also got the Supreme Court. So,
and look, the standard protocol for disbarment is knowingly allowing your client to lie. So clearly, you don't go into a situation where you ask to defend someone. You look at the evidence and information, and then they tell you no, that's not true. And you look at them and you go, he's lying already. So you turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
You want to keep your license. You don't want to get disbarred.
Let's see. Tom, if it's okay to say on the air, I have a bunch of end cuts and scrap wood from my firewood lot on 191 between Gateway and Four Corners. If anyone knows any vets or seniors that are struggling that use firewood, it's free for them to come pick up by the end of the month. Lots of rounds and 4-foot logs, too. It's varying quality, but free to them. Thanks, man. Hey, you're very welcome. Thank you.
You got a dead signal on there. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get him.
I know you were, but
maybe I did this time. Okay. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on? Hello. Nope. Says you're there. I don't know. All right. Let's try this again. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hello, Tom and Shane.
Hey.
Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Did you have anybody call in about the potatoes?
No. Well, they texted us September is when potatoes are harvested, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I serviced those people for 50 years.
Yeah.
So I can. Apparently, a lot of folks don't realize that a considerable potato industry in Gallatin and Broadwater counties, and up in the Flathead too. Montana is the last of the 48 states that can grow seed potatoes that are disease free.
Oh, really?
Nobody in Canada can do it either. So Montana's the only place on this continent.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Can you give us like the two top species that they grow? What's the favorite type of potato grown in Montana?
Well, probably still Russet Burbank, but there's too many different ones to name. There's all kind. There's a potato for every wish women desire.
That's true.
and almost all of the growers around here grow for seed production, and but there's always stuff that gets oversized or called off for one reason or another that you can get for local consumption. But we have, in my judgment, some of the smartest potato growers in the world right here in Gallatin and Broadwater counties and up in the Flathead.
And when do they generally plant their seeds? It's an annual plant. So what month do they do it in?
They generally start in May.
Yeah.
And hope to get it done by June. Sometimes they don't make that. Depends on the weather.
Yeah.
And it's a big business. The biggest grower in our area here grows about 1,400 acres of seed potatoes every year, and if you run the math on that, that'd be 400 to 500 count. That'd be 100 pound bags per acre.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's lots of potatoes around here.
What's the worst insect for a potato?
Oh, there's lots of them.
Yeah, but in Montana.
Well, you'll see flea beetles almost every potato field that you look at, depending on when you look at them. And they're a great nuisance because they're capable of carrying disease from plant to plant. But there's quite a number of insects that affect potatoes, so they require intensive management. As an aerial applicator, we were at the point when I retired 9 years ago. We were doing 4 to 5 applications per season on each field that we treated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joe. But, thanks for the info, man. Appreciate it.
You bet. Okay.
Take care. All right. Well, Shane, a young environmental activist scored what experts described as a groundbreaking legal victory Monday in Montana when a judge said the state agencies were violating their constitutional right to a clean and healthful environment by allowing fossil fuel development. Whew.
Wow. It's so amazing because unlike federal judges, state judges are elected. Yeah. So I don't know what state judge this is or what party he's with, but I find it less than gratifying that it now is at the state level of legal determination. This is I've called this before.
Mm-hmm.
Our generation was feed the world. There were 3 billion people, and you and I were first around in 45 to 65, and now that's 8 billion people around the world. We did a good job. But I feel bad because the baby boomers and the Zers, they've seen over $5 trillion spent now in the last 30 years on solar panels. And I was looking this morning. It's like 3.1% of your grid as far as a power source, and it's these kind of things that you find that get whipped up and people misled by government so they can create a great opportunity for theft and scandal, and that's the sad side of politics and government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me go back to the story here.
Mm-hmm.
Got so many things up here. It was District Court Kathy Seeley found the policy the state uses in evaluating requests for fossil fuel permits, which does not allow agencies to look at greenhouse gas emissions, is unconstitutional. So it's not all climate fossil fuel permits. It's whether or not they're going to have an impact on greenhouse gas emissions. And once again, I don't know. I still believe this is a crock, Shane.
It is because it's theory.
Yeah.
So you can't you can't use theory in a court of law. You need science.
Yeah.
And this is one case in law where science has to be observed.
Yeah.
But there is no science to what he's saying. It's only a theory, and it's a very poor one, as we've been able to define and been allowed to define over the last 4 or 5 years. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about one of the governors. I couldn't remember the name of. It's Doug Burgum, North Dakota governor. The other people running on the Republican side, if you aren't aware, Donald Trump, obviously, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, Asa Hutchinson, Tim Scott, Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, Doug Burgum, Francis Suarez, the Miami mayor, and Will Hurd, who is a former Texas congressman. So,
yeah, the reason I get a kick out of Vivek is he reminds me of the Asian Democratic candidates in 2020 that wear the math button.
Yeah.
And it was his concept that he told everybody during the debates and during the election of 2020 that the U.S. government could pay everybody, and it would be able to keep people living in a middle class lifestyle, and they could do it in perpetuity. And my goodness gracious, what happened with COVID? They took his advice and did it.
Yeah. Well, there you are.
But he went nowhere. It was a Biden all the way.
Well, some on the right portray accountability for the January 6th Capitol riot as just another partisan dispute. Two prominent conservative legal scholars have made the case that the Constitution disqualifies former President Trump from public office. So last week, these two guys, both members of the Conservative Federalist Society, argued in a law review article that Trump is already constitutionally forbidden from serving in public office because of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and that, of course, is the against sedition and what else, Shane? Treason, yeah, I guess so.
Neither of
insurrection. Insurrection is the word I'm looking for.
Neither of which he's been found guilty of. So they're wrong. It isn't enough. Mm-hmm. It isn't enough for you to be accused of it. Yeah. Although there have been cases. Remember that famous senator from Colorado? He was destined to be president until everyone knew he was having an affair.
Yeah. Monkey business. Well, it should not come as a surprise that Trump meets the standard. All three branches of the government have identified the attack on the Capitol as an insurrection, with multiple federal judges, bipartisan majorities in the House and Senate, as well as the bipartisan January 6th House Select Committee, citing Trump as its central cause. So we'll see if Section 3 of the Constitution holds up and keep him out of the White House and I guess anywhere else.
There you go.
I guess we'll see. Let's take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you are on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Yeah, good morning.
Hey.
So if Trump is not legal to run because of one of the amendments in the Constitution, everything that comes out of a Democrat's mouth, you flip it 180 degrees, and that's what they have done, are doing, or are going to do. So wouldn't that have to be flipped on them?
Oh, I would think so. Shane and I pointed out many times that the voices that protest the loudest are the ones that are committing the exact things they're protesting against.
Yes. So Trump can run.
Well, I haven't seen anybody bringing any legal action to take him off of any ballots anywhere. So
exactly, and even the 4 indictment cases don't have real rights to him.
Well, he's not guilty until a court of law says he is. So he's an innocent civilian running for office until he's either exonerated or convicted of a crime.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I would say that he's got a pretty darn good chance.
Well, it's going to be, well, I don't know, with 30 counts, man, it's hard.
Well,
it's hard to be not guilty of something when you got 30 counts against you.
Yeah, so, let's bring up a whole bunch of criminal counts.
Yeah.
And then have his person already lined up to charge these counts too.
Yeah, it's the old throw it against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, that's just backwards. They haven't found anything on that man in 7 years.
Yeah.
Not one darn thing. So I still think Trump's got a really, really good chance of being president.
Well, we'll be here to talk about it if he is.
Yes, we will.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks so much for the call. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. All right. Getting down to the top of the hour, Shane. Couple things we ought to talk about here before we bail out of here.
Yeah, and I got to do my rant. I love my rant.
Well, I know you got to do your rant. Yeah, so let's see the other thing I wanted to talk about because we're talking about how wrong things are going. The gender affirming care, several countries in Europe have hit the brakes on this, Shane, but it seems to be widespread in the United States. Much of the medical establishment and the Biden administration continues to resist changing treatment guidelines because medical science in this sensitive field has been polluted by a fervent gender ideology that is not only resist considering contrary data, but even the expression of differing opinions are prohibited. And the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry declared that any interference with gender affirmation was in violation of the scientific evidence and hence wrong, Shane. So you can't interfere with...
What a surprise, right?
Yeah, you can't interfere with kids getting their chest cut up and other parts of their body mutilated just because they... I was wondering, we're talking about these drag shows, libraries and schools and things, and I'm wondering, you got a bunch of 5 or 6 or 7 year olds sitting there, if they brought baseball players in to talk, do you think any of the kids in the class would want to be baseball players? Or if they brought policemen in, or if they brought firemen in, or they brought astronauts in, do you think any of these people, any of these kids watching this would say, hey, that's what I want to be when I grow up? So, I mean, how impressionable are kids? I mean, come on. Jeez. I don't know. It's in the past, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry declared that any interference with gender affirmation was in violation of the scientific evidence. Scientific evidence, Shane. Wow.
Yeah.
Say goodbye.
Read the science. I will indeed. Be happy, safe, everyone. Thank you so much for all the phone calls. It's great hearing from you because this is talk radio. Remember, it's a special thing if you can live in the moment, so do that. Do it every single day. And live to work. Find a job or something you love in life. Enjoy it. Get out of bed every day in anticipation of being able to do something you want to be doing. Enjoy yourselves, folks. It's a great time of year. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the Potato Festival. And come home with a bag of potatoes for your family and a smile on your face. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks to all our callers, all our texters. We really appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for your support. That's going to wrap it up for me. I am out of here.